What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Barbaric Yawp. I'm your host, Adam. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Obviously, the background is different, and that's because our house is currently without hot water, and there is going to be some construction going on. So my office is completely torn apart to get to the water heater and work on the sheetrock and pipes and all that stuff. So this episode is going to be a little bit of an update on life for us and just getting up to speed. Apologize for the absence the last 2 weeks. We've had a lot going on. We've had water heater go out. We've had sister-in-law and her husband move down from Colorado. We've had school start, and life has just been a little bit chaotic for us. So I haven't been able to sit down and actually put out the content that I wanted to, despite the fact that there is a lot going on in the world. Notably, this week was the Democratic National Convention. That was an interesting dog and pony show, I would say. Lots of things to look at and think about and talk about there, but I'm going to leave that for you to go do your own research. I would strongly advise both the Republican and Democratic National Convention that you go and do your own research. Don't just trust the things they say, because a lot of times that is just not the truth. What they are saying is, it used to be called propaganda. Now it's called marketing. It's just them trying to make themselves look as good as possible in the best possible light and have the greatest success at seducing voters into voting for them, thinking that they'll get something out of the deal. So that's one interesting thing. Somebody's child is not very happy. I don't know if you can hear that, but anyway, there have been a few other interesting things going on in the world, but the biggest thing that I've been thinking about lately, and I would love to hear your comments and thoughts about it, is what is going to happen after the election, regardless of who wins. Looking at the behaviors and actions and attitudes of people that are currently, the mainstream politicians and whatnot, what is their end game? What are they trying to achieve post-election? And I don't have a solid answer. With everything that's going on in our country, with the protests and riots and civil unrest and political unrest, and giant Silicon Valley tech companies are just running amok in a lot of ways. Social engineering, trying to sway the election, trying to censor people. Because they're private companies, they aren't bound by the laws that protect us from the violation of our rights the same way the government is. They've found exceptions and loopholes and ways to get around, we can censor you because we're a private company. And I understand that, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but we have so divested ourselves of our own personal responsibility and given it to those tech companies that we now have abdicated most of our rights and power to a EULA agreement that we signed to use a free application on our phone or on our computer or whatever, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. These big tech companies are in turn playing havoc. Some of them are partially or mostly owned by foreign governments. They're heavily influenced by those governments, and several of them have become multi-billion, 100 billion, some of them trillion-dollar companies, which is greater than many of the world's nations' economies. So they have extremely influential positions of power. You look at all those people and their behavior, and what's the end game? what's their goal post election? There's something called the World Economic Forum, and they're talking about a great reset of the financial world, financial industries, and that's terrifying. And they're talking about on a global scale, the entire system resetting. What does that look like? And in this interconnected world that we live, what does a global economy look like? And should we have a global economy? Is that something that we should be actively trying to pursue, or should we trying to remain independent? These are questions I don't have the answer to, but I'm curious. The people in power, what is their end game? What is their agenda at the end of this whole process? Right? Is it to accumulate more power for themselves in the world? Is it to, as a collection of world leaders with other countries, they are the new oligarchy, if you will, that rules the world? Is that the end game? I don't know. I'm not sure. Power is obviously at play. But I know this. We are and have been one of the freest and one of the most prosperous countries, if not, I would say the most prosperous country in history. Our people have known more freedom, so much freedom, in fact, that we have to invent disenfranchisements. We have to go out banging the drum trying to convince people that we're disenfranchised. In fact, we've coined the term first world problems. Our issues are so insignificant that we had to coin a term to try to describe them. And now we try to go out and convince people that we have these disenfranchised things, when the poorest of our country are still in the top 5% of the world. Maybe that number might be inaccurate. I'm not sure. I've heard something like that before, but we are so well off and experience so much freedom that anyone can say anything. You can't do that in other countries. Anyone can travel just about anywhere. You can't do that in other countries, both within our borders and outside our borders for the most part. And I have to think, if nothing else, that the accumulation of power by the elites or the rich or whatever will eventually lead to a decrease in public freedoms and the rights of individuals to go about life as they see fit. Learning what they see fit to learn, doing what they see fit to do for their own survival and their pursuit of happiness and freedom. We are already seeing censorship happen en masse. So maybe you lose the ability to say what you think. It does seem like our society is going towards more control, more restrictions, more tyranny, obviously. So when you look at the Republican National Convention, the Democratic National Convention, the candidates that are running, the companies that are making big changes and acquiring, properties and rights and other businesses, when you look at all those things, ask yourself, what is their end game? Hopefully we'll get back on schedule with producing content here once this construction gets done on our house. And I appreciate you guys watching the video. Like and subscribe if it was of value to you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.